This week on The Loud Quiet, are calendars busy or full in the empty nest? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Loud Quiet. We know this is just such a busy time for everyone, and it, is a busy time for us. It doesn't matter if you have a kid you're about to send off to college, back to college, even if you don't. There's just these seasons of life that are just busy.
And I have always been, no, I haven't always been, but in like the last decade or so of my life, I've really pushed back against oh, how's it going? I'm busy. That sort of celebration of busy culture. And I think by extension, we do a good job of not celebrating being busy. It just sometimes sneaks up on you.
Maybe the word isn't busy. Maybe the word is full. It just was full. And we had these significant events happening that, okay, we'll just get to that event and then things will calm down. Okay, we'll get to that event and then things will calm down. Well, we had a huge event a couple of weeks ago. Our book, we had our launch celebration party. It was fabulous. Some of you might have been there, and
it was so much stinking fun.
It was just fun. And that is exactly what I wanted it to be. I didn't want this. This was not a promotion of our book. This was not a book signing tour thing. This was just a party for us to celebrate with friends and family and people that have been there, that live locally, that can get here, that have supported us along the way. And it was just fun.
We talk about it being that celebration. I was sitting here thinking, I think I would have just had the party. It was just the two of us because there was so much work to get to that book creation. And I know there are plenty of folks that are sitting here going, you've been talking about the books for months now. And I get that. This was our book launch celebration. So for those of you that haven't yet had a chance to buy the book, it's certainly available at theloudquiet.com. You can go there. You can get the free bonuses. And for those of you that have bought the book, please, it would really help others come to know of the existence of this book and help other empty nesters if you would leave a review at Amazon. That review is so valuable and helps folks understand here's a resource for them as they are part of this empty nest life.
But yes, getting back to the party, it was just, like I said, it was just fun. And we're
going to have to come up with new words.
I know.
I could hear all the listeners going, all right, well, it's fun. Yes, click.
Word to describe it. And we felt like we were being pulled in so many directions, which was great. But it did really feel like you were at your wedding, because you'd start talking to someone and then it'd be like, oh my gosh, someone else would come in and you need to go talk to them. Or, hey, we signed my book. Hey, it was just.
I understand why people have handlers.
Yeah.
Because in the absence of having a handler, you just end up being handled.
You need someone doing you have 30 seconds, holding up a little.
We've just restarted Veep. And for those of you that have watched Veep, one of the greatest characters is the one that just leans into. The Veep's ears.
This is so and so from so and so. Yeah.
This party we knew everybody. But
well, we didn't know everybody because you had guests that I had never met.
Yeah,
I had guests that you may have never met. And so someone would come in and I was like, okay, I don't know this person, at one point you were like further away from me, and so I was like, where are you? Because this is one of your people, and yes, I can talk to them.
We needed like bat echo location or something like that. Some sort of high pitched noise that we only. Well, of course, I can't hear even regular pitch noises anymore. So,
but we even had a room that had karaoke, and Tanner and his crew kicked that off, and that was just. I'm not going to use that word again. It was just, yes, it was delightful.
It took a lot out of us to get to that point. And it was like you said something at the beginning that I wasn't expecting you to say, if we could just get to this point. And I think that's when you and I really fall into a false trap, or it's a real trap, but a false expectation that there ever is a point that you get to that it's done. And God willing, as long as we have health and breath and vigor in us, there's probably something next in line. It did feel like in this season, though, we never quite caught up. We were so focused on that book launch party that we let everything else be but we'll handle it then. Well, then suddenly that then shows up and you're starting to handle that next thing and those blinders go on.
It was some of the external things like, we need to go to Austin. That is where Rick is from. His family is there. We have not been in several months. And so we're like, hey, we need to plan a trip. So literally on Tuesday, I came to you and I said, I have looked at our calendar. If we don't go this weekend, we're not going until probably October or November. So what did we do? We're like, all right, let's go.
Which speaks to a mix of things. One is, yay, the flexibility of the empty nest and running your own business, that we could do that. Now, it was a weekend trip. So those that are in classic business, it was still just a weekend trip. And it speaks to that the empty nest is not a empty activity. It is not and I think a lot of folks almost look at it, those that aren't in it yet, and see it as this period of time of winding down. Man, I think it's winding up.
For me, for sure. I was definitely not. I mean, I was doing stuff with the kids, but I was definitely not pouring as much energy, time, creativity into my part-time job that I had. So yeah, I feel like I am way more packed now than I was, which again, though, you bring in that flexibility part of it. Because we do work together, if we say, okay, yeah, we're just going to leave Friday at 10 a.m. and it's fine. We try not to we try to protect our Fridays always. We don't schedule meetings. We don't schedule recordings unless we have to. But so we have that flexibility. I mean, even to the point that, Tegan is home for the summer and she was like, oh, y'all are going? And I said, yeah, we're going. And she said, okay, well, I'll see y'all Saturday night. I said, no, we're not coming back till Sunday. She's like, oh, okay. I was just, and so.
Of course, we did all the standard jokes of, enjoy having the party and the kegs in the backyard.
She was working.
She was working. And she probably, I know she's a young adult, but I think all of us enjoy having a space to ourselves. So she probably was looking at this going, oh, sweet fancy Moses, I get the entire house to myself for a weekend.
I mean, great. She's about to leave to go back and live by herself for the next semester. And again, that was the other thing that we had on the list to get to is moving her next week. And so it really was, we need to go do this now. And we also got on the talk of, we need time away for us. Mm-hmm. And those of you in the empty nest, yeah, it is just us all the time. But when you're in your environment, it's different than when you get out of your environment.
We spend a lot of time talking about the importance of friendships and community, and that's an overused word, I get it. But just other people in your life, it's one of the vital things that I love it when people say they, and I just did it right there. Research has shown that people who have healthy relationships as they age live better and live longer. I think that I have found that we're building a business together. We're enjoying so much time with the friends that we have made here in the empty nest that it can be too easy to forget about, hey, let's just you and me go out. And I don't think sometimes it's, Rick didn't, or the man didn't take the woman out. I think both of us fall into that trap of, hey, let's just invite friends on everything that we do. And I love that. It sometimes, though, you look back and you realize, wow, you and I haven't gone out just for us, or taken a trip just for us, or done an activity just for us in way too long.
No, and I feel like we almost were better at it when we weren't empty nesters than
because you had that, you carved out that one special moment kind of thing.
Yeah, and so I think that is, and like we said, okay, we'll go to Austin, but the goal in Austin is to see family. And we love Austin. And if those of you have ever been there, it's a fun city. We just never get to be tourists in it because we're always with family. This time we're like, okay, we're going to go Friday, but we're not really going to make it known that we're coming Friday so that we can have a date night in Austin and go where we want to go. And we stayed in a fun hotel that's been there forever.
1866 or something,
yeah.
I think.
Uh-huh.
Just to be clear, because family may listen here, it wasn't that we were hiding.
No.
We just made sure that we scheduled family activities for Saturday. We were just proactive in how we managed the agenda for the weekend, which coincidentally allowed us to have a little bit of space on Friday. And it was a blast.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, it was.
Are you sure?
No, I was thinking that, when we started this.
Wait, I got to land. Sit here for a second. It was a blast. That usually is the point where the other person goes, yes, it was.
I thought you were going to
blankly.
I thought you were going to keep talking. I missed the cue. When we started talking about this Austin trip, you brought up, we need a vacation though, just the two of us. And when we were talking about things to talk about on our episode, and you're like, well, this is kind of, we did this. I was like, no, this does not count. This does not count as a vacation for both of us because it had an underlying agenda in it as well, which again, we love the family there. That's not an issue, but we had 6 hours that were, ours.
I did say that I do want to have the vacation where the most effort I extend is raising my right arm so that I can suggest to someone coming by to bring me my next beverage or my next snack.
Yeah, and it's just getting harder and harder to fit that in. When I look at our fall that's already filling up.
I think we need to go back then and talk about what I said at the beginning, and that is for what I said were decade or decades, I've had the view that being busy is not a badge of honor. I wonder if these empty nesters, and I'm looking at you and me, need to learn to say no.
Well, I feel like we started that, and
heck, we've talked about it on this.
Yeah. And really, the things that our fall is full of are mostly social, fun things that we're doing, and I wouldn't take any of those off of the agenda.
I think this gets at another thought, and that is not only as empty nesters do we have flexibility because the kids are out of the house. You and I have chosen to craft our own business, so we actually have day of week flexibility. I think we still struggle with the mentality of from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday is work time. And yes, maybe we block out Friday, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we view it as getaway or do time. I know that I still almost have a struggle with if it's 10:30 and I want to go do something in the morning, I just go do it.
I would say that was a struggle more in the beginning. I don't think it is as much now because I can, like last week on whatever day it was, you went and ran some errands, I went and ran some errands, you went and got a pedicure. So, I mean, there are things that we're not letting.
But you know what? Everything you just said, errands, and heck, even a pedicure, which, yes, I get pedicures and I'm not ashamed about it. They feel great. If you are a man out there and you're like, oh, I can't believe he has that, go get your feet rubbed once and you'll be converted. That's not the same as, you know what, I just went and sat in a park somewhere. Now it's 1 billion degrees. But we didn't go to the lake. We didn't just sit out by the pool. Anything that we do seems to have some element of do associated with it as opposed to just be.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think that's just hard human nature. It's not just an empty nester versus non-empty nester thing. I think that's just people.
Yeah. I am unduly influenced by a podcast I was listening to this morning, and it was talking to a guy that was talking about meditation, but not just the kind of concept of meditation, but the concept of just quieting your mind. And he was describing how you can be having this recurring thought over and over and over in your head that if you verbalize that outside, people would lock you up. But because we are willing to process these thoughts over and over in our head, we think we're just thinking about it or handling it or processing it, as opposed to this is something that trying to quiet that. And I think some of that busyness of thought ends up being expressed as busyness of activity, and ends up in a situation where you do look back and you're like, I'm exhausted even though I'm doing all fun things. And it's because there hasn't been as much of that just stillness.
Well, I think that also comes from there's just so many inputs outside of just us. Like, what did you say this morning? Tanner texted you and said, "Hey, can you come help me mount this TV this weekend?" Well, no, son, because we're going to be moving your sister into her
Well, no,
apartment. I
I
mean,
said it slightly differently. I said, well, I'll be in Arizona. If you want to fire up the private jet, you can fly me out. He declined.
yeah. So, there's just, hey, do y'all want to go meet for dinner? Yes, we do. I mean, there's just inputs that come in that those things I want to say yes to. There's some things, though, that I'm like, oh, I'll say no to that for sure.
I think, I know that what I'm even unintentionally thinking about right now as we're talking about is it's a lot of the absence of stillness
Yeah.
that I'm finding myself unwilling to be bored. I have a device that is so accessible. I have a book that's accessible. I have a TV. I have an activity. I have friends. I have all that is so accessible that I never allow myself to be so still that I'm bored.
Okay, but do you consider the scrolling on the phone? I don't find that the same as reading a book.
Oh, I agree with you.
So
I agree.
I don't know
when it comes to the value of the input, but not what I'm talking about there in the sense of the absence of input, then those are equal their inputs. But the value of the input, totally see them differently.
I just wonder where that would be very hard for me to sit and not have any thing going on, because even when we do go on certain vacations where you are just sitting, there's still music. It may not be club hype up music, but there's still something, and I can't do the go camp in a tent, sit by the water. That's just not me. I know you can.
Oh yeah,
but I can't do that.
The example that was just mentioned this morning was back in the day, if you were sitting in a doctor's office and you read all the magazines, or there were no magazines that were available to you, then all you could do was sit and observe. And it's not this stillness that I'm mentioning here is not the stillness of, truly the transcendental meditation kind of thing. It's more just being aware of what's going on. Oh, look at that plant over there. Oh, I can hear this. I can hear the music in the background, as opposed to always having inputs.
See, and I would be sitting in the doctor's office looking at everyone going, okay, what are they here for? What's their situation? What's going on over there?
You're like the reverse of that Progressive ad where the guy is sitting in there telling everyone why he's there. You're the one, what's that person got?
So I understand the point, and I do appreciate sitting. I just don't know how much sitting I could do without any inputs at all.
And I'm sure all of us have a limit to that. And I think I've certainly taken us in a direction that probably we didn't anticipate. It's more just I'm realizing that I'm feeling I may just feel kind of overstimulated. And moments like where we express, hey, I just want to spend time with you, that's value too. And even just being present with you, but quietly present with you, is a delight as well. And we heard that talked about at church on Sunday. The idea of, especially later in life, how a couple can just enjoy each other's presence, even though they're doing separate activities, and there's still a lot of value and intimacy in that sort of quiet co-presence.
Yeah, I think it's almost because, yes, we did go away for the weekend, but there wasn't any downtime.
No, I was telling Tegan that at lunch today. I was like, yeah, Mom and I never stopped.
And what did we do? A whole chunk of it was starting to look at neighborhoods that she might live in if she ends up there. So again, we're still doing things for the kids, even though they weren't even with us. And I always say this, the seasons are about to change. Our bodies, minds, mental clock. I know that school is about to start here. We don't have kids going to that school, but both of ours are about to start back up with grad school and finishing undergrad. So I think it's almost your body letting you know, okay, we need a reset. We're about to enter into a new fall season. And I don't think we've gotten that. And I don't know when we will get that. Maybe whatever trip we can put in there. I have that feeling, and I get that feeling every time you're about to enter into a new season.
You have talked about that season change, and it's taken me a while to get there. I think there's something there. You talk a lot about it with the time change. I think absolutely the weather change, all of that. Well, we may not have the weather change, but our bodies know it's coming. All right. So we felt like we were so jam-packed with things that we were trying to get to the next thing. Then we felt like we got to the next thing, but there never was just stuff for us. Well, we did that. But there's still that kind of swirl and busyness of activity or fullness. I like that change of words that you said. What now? What do we do? Or do we just live it? Status quo is an option too.
Yeah. And like I said, nothing that we have been doing or have planned to do would be anything that I'm like, I wish we wouldn't have done that. I mean, even last week, we went to an event on Wednesday night that Wednesday at 5:00, I was like, why did we say we're going to go to this? And it ended up being
It was awesome.
Fun.
Yeah. Met some great people.
Yeah. So, it's just things like that sometimes you commit to something and you dread it, but then it ends up being great. Now, sometimes it ends up not being great, but I feel, you know what? That's interesting, though. I feel like I haven't had as many of those in this stage of life as I did when I was a younger mom or when the kids were.
Why do you think that
I don't know. That's interesting.
I have a theory.
I just thought about that. Well,
or hypothesis. I don't know what I have. My hypothesis is that so many of the events at that stage of life were driven by your kids, and your choice of attending or not attending was not as open as this is. We're choosing our activities now. Yeah. Every time I say that, I think Step Brothers.
I'm not even thinking about kid-driven activities. Yeah. So I think it more just has to do with one, like you said, pick and choose, but these things I would have picked and chosen anyways. I think it just has to do more with, at this point, I don't care. Like, if I go somewhere and so the vibe is off or someone, doesn't care for me, I don't care. One, I can leave.
Who cares who
I
likes
think
you
that's
if you're
another
53?
thing is that, I think that's another thing is being 52, if I'm not good with where I'm at or I don't like what's going on, I can just take myself out of it. Whereas those younger years, you're still trying to fit in and
Hey, it even gets distilled down to if we don't like the vibe of a restaurant when we've sat down, we've walked out.
Yes. And I don't know that we would have done that when we were in our 30s.
So aside from that, though, because you're right, there's things that do we look to deconstruct the schedule? Do we, or is it more about changing our attitude towards the rhythm of the schedule, that instead of always thinking if we just get to, instead it's we are doing. There was a phrase I heard this morning. Boy, I'm talking about this podcast a lot, but it's impossible to become happy. You can only be happy. And the idea was there's such a folly in trying to strive for the happiness activities when really happiness is derived by living in the moment that you're in and appreciating the moment that you're in.
Yeah. And again, I am not there have been some stages of our life, and even in the empty nest, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to break if we don't calm down. I'm not feeling that right now. It's just when you see your calendar, you just see those things on the calendar, especially the bigger events. And so you know it's coming. And maybe it's just that anticipation of that's coming, and I know what's involved going into that event, that I think maybe that takes up some of your mental capacity, as well as just what else is going on. You know, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, she has one day off this week. We have done nothing to go through the stuff that she brought home because she cannot take it all back with her this time. And, you know, I was even talking to my mom on the phone earlier, and they took the kids out to lunch on Saturday for their annual summer lunch. And she said, oh, have you started packing? Tina's like, oh, I don't do that till the day before.
Like, and she's working the day before. She lost her mind?
Yes. And I just got something put on the calendar that morning. So, I mean, it's just...
Which is awesome, by the way.
But again, did I say no to it? No. Do I know that everything is going to work out? She's going to get everything packed? Yes.
I think that's it. I think if we're talking about what would I, and I'm not here to commit to changing this because I'm not convinced that I will, because I know who I am. But I think that's part of it, is no longer striving to get through something. Like even the enjoyable things, it's, oh, we will do X after that. I want to spend more time. Of course, you have to plan. I'm not saying just suddenly just show up to every day in life and realize, yes. But instead of so much of categorization of, okay, if we just get through this, then I will do that. No, just enjoy the this that is now. Be happy rather than try to become happy.
Yeah. And I think if you want to, because we have tried to protect days in our calendar, but then when you have a guest or you get asked to do something, oh, it's okay, we can just fill that in.
Well, you're not going to turn down a TV appearance, right?
Sure, but I guess it depends on your commitment to, are you going to protect those days or not?
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of it is just, it's decisions, just like decisions you've had to make your entire life.
Trade-offs. I feel like I'm having Capital One flashbacks when all we talked about were trade-offs. All right.
Yes.
Do y'all have this? Is this just a Rick and Clancy kind of thing? Or for those of you that are in the empty nest, are you finding this to be just the same kind of busyness and swirliness that you were experiencing before the empty nest? Is there a disconnect that you're feeling? Or how are you getting through this? We'd love to hear from you. You can certainly reach out to us through the Loud Quiets website, or share this as part of the Facebook community out there so that others can hear your stories and, well, learn from your wisdoms as well.
I like the word full. I think I'm going to start saying our schedule is full instead of busy. We'll just change that.
But there's still room. It's full, but there's still room.
Yes. Well, guys, thanks for going down this was a therapy session, I think, for real. Live therapy session. So thanks for joining us on another episode of The Loud Quiet.